Hello, this is Jeffrey Price. I'm here to present the Segmented Bowl Primer, which is a series of videos meant to help beginners design and build segmented bowls. This part is the design part. So let's get right into the video. Right now, I'm in my office. We're going to do the design work. It's not a simple matter to design these bowls. You have a lot of calculations to do, but I've got stuff to help you. You don't have to do a lot of stuff. We'll have a spreadsheet that can do most of the things for you, everything that you really need, and is set up to help somebody who knows how to work in a shop. So let's go here. Let's first of all look at what a segmented bowl looks like. This is a segmented bowl here that I made a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. And notice how this thing is constructed, okay? So it's constructed, the base is solid base. And then on top of that, though, are these layers that are rings, okay? And so we're going to construct layers like this to glue up together to make the whole bowl. And notice that these are in segments, hence the name, segmented bowl. And this one has 24 segments. If you go all the way around, there are 24 segments to make up a ring. And of course, we make that as a 24-sided polygon, and then we wind up cutting that down to a perfect circle on the lathe. So let's see how we can do that, how we can set that up. Here's a ring right here. Here's a ring. This was actually a mistake from one of my projects. I didn't make it the right diameter. So 36 segments in it. So this does a pretty good job of approximating a circle, and that's the whole idea. This is a 36 segmented regular polygon, okay? And you make these and glue them up. You have to decide what diameters to make them and so forth, and how big to make the segments and everything to get the right diameters, and we'll figure out how to do that, okay? Let me open up this other video bar right here. All right. And this is a basic diagram of what we're looking at doing. All right, so we're going to be making a regular polygon. Now, what I've got here is I've got the top half of an octagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. And I've got all of the definitions of what we're talking about. And this is the theoretical, this is what we expect for the rings to be cut down to when we get through with the bowl. Okay, this is this ring width. And we'll figure out how to do all of this, how to choose the angles. Now, we're going to make a bowl with 0 gap width. There's going to be nothing in here. You can make them, you can add a gap width and you can stick in a piece of highlighting material like walnut or something. I've made bowls like that. It's very nice. It's a nice technique. That's why having a gap width is included as a possibility for the calculations. But we're going to be interested particularly in how wide to make these pieces, these segments, and how long to make these segments to get the right size ring. So let me show you kind of how we do that. One method that I've laid out so we can get the rings laid out appropriately. So I'm going to, let's come back here to the other video. Again, I'm going to make a bowl that approximates this basket. In this basket, it's 9 inches, 9 inches in diameter, 9 inches in diameter, and it's about 3 inches deep. And that's what I'm going to be shooting for in making this bowl. So I've laid out what I really wanted to do. This is a piece of graph paper here. It's got like 1/4 inch grid on it. The 1/4 inch isn't exactly right, but it's close enough for us to talk about this. And it allows me to make a full-size diagram. Now, here we're looking at the bowl shape. I've sketched out the shape. This is radius here. Okay, going this way. So this is the left half of the bowl. The other half would be exactly mirrored on the other half. I've set it out so we're going to do 3/4 inch thick pieces of wood, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, like that. All right. Then here I've got inches marked off this way. The base is approximately 5 inches, so it's twice 2.5. The base, flat part of the base, 5 inches. And then here, the inside diameter, the inside radius, 4.5, diameter then is 9 inches from here to here. I sketched out then approximately 3/8 inch. This is about 3/8 of an inch from here to here. You can talk about different sizes, widths of the walls for your bowls. You can make them really thin. People make them down to like, I've seen them down like 1/8 of an inch, and you're really getting a little bit hairy there to try and keep from busting up your bowl if it's only 1/8 of an inch thick. 1/4 of an inch is pretty thin. 3/8 is, I'll work with that. I can cut down from there a little bit. And you can do thicker, but I think that the thinner walls, 3/8 inch is a good compromise, and the thinner walls are a little better. It makes a lighter bowl, but it's still a strong bowl. So I'm going to work with 3/8 of an inch. You can try something else if you like. Comes up, I've just sketched out a kind of a circle, or not a circle, but just a curved, very much like the edge of that basket that we were looking at before. So the first layer here is the basis. It's going to be a single piece. It's going to be a solid piece of wood. I'm going to need to cut that out into more than 3 inches in radius, or more than 6 inches in diameter. So I have to have a piece of wood bigger than 6 inches in diameter. We'll figure that out when we get it to the shop. And then each of the layers. Now, it's going to go together like this. See, we're going to cut segments like these, be glued together, make a whole ring. And then this is like a segment goes here. Now this is a little more than 3/4 of an inch thick. It's almost an inch thick, okay? Piece of oak. But that's basically what it's going to do. And then the ring just kind of right around here, okay? Piece after piece after piece. How wide from here to here do we want to make these? Well, let's look at this here. See, I've got to have, if I have a segment that sits here, then it's got to be, the inside has got to be from here, and the outside needs to be at least to here. So let's draw that in here. Let's do that. We'll draw this in real quick. Like that. Then here where it intersects here, like that. And that is the minimum size rectangle, or the theoretical size rectangle, that I could cut out for a segment to approximate this part of the curve. So I can go ahead and do that all the way up. Let's go ahead and do that all the way up here, here. If everything was perfect, glued all this together, glued these segments together that are exactly this width, I would be able to cut it and have a circle that's perfect, exactly 3/8 of an inch wide, and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, we know that nothing's perfect in woodworking, right? So we're always having inaccuracies, and we need to plan around doing getting inaccuracies, and we need to take care of those kinds of problems, and we'll do that as we work on through this. Okay, so here are the 4 theoretical widths that we'll need for the 4 rings. Okay, and so what do I need from here? Well, in order for me to make a polygon, I need to know the inside diameter of that polygon and the outside diameter of that polygon. So let's do that real quick here. Let's map that out here. Now it's easiest for me just to grab my calipers. I mean, I could get my ruler and I could measure how many inches and 16ths of an inch and convert that into decimal, all that kind of stuff. But it's just easier for me just to grab this. This one, the inside radius is 2.670. Okay. 2.670. The outside radius and I can do this because this drawing is to scale. 3.7065. And I can do the rest of those. Okay, I'll do the rest of those real quick. So I've got all the numbers here now, 2.6, 3.7, so forth. I got a lot more digits of accuracy than I need on there. Okay, remember that the 16th of an inch is less than a tenth. It's down into this digit. So, but I got more digits than that. So I got more than accuracy, way more than I can even measure in the shop. But what the heck? I mean, I just wrote down the numbers off the calipers. And I'm going to wind up entering these into the spreadsheet that I'll show you in a minute. Now, what happens then is that when we get this all glued up and we get it in the lathe, we're going to cut off these triangles here. See, on both sides, we'll just cut the triangles off and we'll be left with this as a perfect circle. Now, if you compare that to this other diagram that I have here, what are we looking at? Well, right now what we have is we have the inside diameter or inside radius of this perfect circle, okay? And we then want to convert this into what does the segment, the actual segment have to look like in order for me to be able to cut out that perfect circle out of those segments. So let's go over here now, and I am going to open up a spreadsheet for you, and we're going to enter those numbers into the spreadsheet. So let's see, so you can see it, and I'm at my website now, Price Cubed woodworking.html. This is a spreadsheet right here is the one that I want. Okay. So let's open that spreadsheet. Now, this has two tabs. This tab has the instructions. It's got this little diagram that we've already been looking at, and that has the definitions of all of the information that I need to be able to construct these segmented polygons and cut them into the circles. Now, the numbers that are in this sheet right now are the numbers that are here on this drawing. This is a more complex bowl than we're going to make. This is a bowl that I've made previously, and it's got all the same numbers, though, the same idea of how to sketch it out. This one was 10 inches in diameter and had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers, right? So it had 8 layers. Considerably more complex than what we're going to do. You can try that sometime. So here we are. I'm just going to erase. This is where we put in the numbers, most of the numbers. I'm just going to erase this. Row 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, row or ring, same thing. Now we have to decide how many segments we want. And I'm going to use 16. Let's use 16. I'm going to make this whole bowl out of walnut. I'm not going to use colored wood and things like that. I'm just going to make the whole thing out of walnut. So I don't need a lot of resolution. I don't need to have the colors broken up into a lot of pieces to get detail to make a leaf or, other kinds of shapes that I might want to get with colored pieces. So I don't need a lot of resolution. So 16 is pretty easy. That tells me then that the angle is 22.5 degrees. That's the polygon angle. And the cut angle then, since you wind up with 2, you wind up with, this is from here to here is 22. So this is only 11.5 from here to here. So those are the calculations for that. Now this ring padding right here, we're going to use 1/8 of an inch. Now what is that ring padding? Well, we're doing all the calculations so far with the exact theoretical circle, but we need to have some extra material on these segments in order to have something to work with, right? To take care of inaccuracies and that sort of thing. So this gap here, this ring padding is going to be 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to add 1/8 of an inch on both sides to give me the extra material so I'll have something to work with to eliminate errors that I'll get when I inevitably glue these up and everything. Okay. So let's put in a few numbers here. I'd already shown you the 2.6 and the 3.7. That was that first row that we had worked with. And let's see what the calculations give us here. So there's that inside radius. This is be the radius of that circle that fits inside those segments. Outside radius, the numbers that we had measured. And then first thing it does, multiply by 2. Now we got diameters. Okay. And then the circumference of the circle. And the ring width of the circle. These are the theoretical circle, the final cut ring. This is the theoretical ring. I don't really need this information for much. Okay. You scroll on down now, then what it does is it adds on the ring padding. That's the 1/8 of an inch ring padding. And if you had a gap, it would calculate into this the gap, the segments that you would cut would be smaller by that gap width. So the gap is 0, so that's not included in this calculation. So this now is the segment property. Okay? This is the size of the segments that you have to have and the size of the polygon that you have to have in order to have room to cut out this theoretical circle. Now, from there, I've helped out with going from decimal to fractional. Okay? Decimal to fractional. So this is much easier. This is the tape measure, Carpenter measure. I've taken this number and I've found the closest 1/16 of an inch. Okay? This is the segment width, and this is the segment length. So this 1.5 inches right here is this length from here to here, segment length out. Okay, that's what that number is. That's what we're going to have to cut off. Now this paragraph right here is to closest 1/16 of an inch. Down here, I also have it if you want to do it in 30 seconds. Here it is to the closest 32nd of an inch here. And you see they differ a little bit. Sometimes they don't differ at all because if it's an even number of 30 seconds, it gives back that. Now here, I've got an estimate of the length of material. So if you take the length of all of the segments, multiply by the number of segments, and you add in a table saw curve, this gives you an estimate of the length of material you need. So when you're cutting your board, you need to make sure you have about 22 inches here of length, plus whatever is going to be left over in your sled. You've got to have something to hold on to when you're cutting the segments, and it's about 2 or 3 inches. It depends exactly on how much you have. So you have to think about that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll enter the rest of the numbers. So I have those numbers entered now from the design sheet that I'd been working on. And this is what we're going to need to cut. We'll cut these out. Here are the numbers that we're really interested in, the ones that are important for us. Now, these numbers right here are the width of the board that I'm going to cut off strips of the board to make the um, segments out of. These are the widths right here. That's in 16s. Here it is in 30 seconds. Okay. Then here's the outer segment lengths. Notice that they get bigger, 1.5, 1 3/4, 1 7/8, and then 2 inches even for the widest segment length. Now let's take a look at these columns right in here, the table saw gap. Here they are in decimal or in carpenters. And this definition shows over here on the instructions page. And this diagram down here at the bottom of the instructions. Here's the segment length, and here's the table saw gap. And this is what we're going to look at for a second now. When we do the cut off these segments, we're going to have a sled. I'll show you how my sled works when we get out there to the shop later. You could also use your table saw miter, and I'll talk about why that's probably not a real good idea, but whatever you're setting the cut angle to here to angle the workpiece to cut the segments. And the workpiece, a strip of wood that you have cut off, cut to the width, the proper width, and slides in here, and you'll have a stop so that you can duplicate these segment links very precisely. Notice the relationship between segment length, which is here on the angle, and this table saw gap. And now that is what you will measure from your blade over to your stop with like a tape measure. You don't measure this distance right here directly. You will measure from the blade to the stop with your tape measure or whatever. I'll show you the measuring device when we get the sled out. So there's a simple trigonometric relationship between this segment length and this table saw gap. And I've done that calculation for you so that you can set this gap to give the correct length for the outer segments here, for the length of the outer segments. Notice that this outer segment length, here it is in decimal. Let's look in decimal. And here it is in decimal for the table saw gap. They aren't that far apart, and it just depends on the smaller this cut angle is, the closer these two numbers get here and here. In fact, notice that these two are within a 1/16 of an inch. So it even looks like they're the same number. But they're not, and there's some minor adjustments there that you'll want to do, and we'll see how that unfolds when we get out there to the shop. Now, hope that you like this sheet, okay? And look at the kind of things that it'll do. Suppose that I decided I want 48 segments. Bam, all of the calculations are done for you. All of the new segment widths and segment lengths and everything all done, recalculated, and ready to go. Notice now that the outer segment lengths are much smaller. That's because you have to cut 48 segments to make the same size ring now instead of 16 segments. So, but all of these cuts and stuff are done for you, and you don't have to worry about it. Now you can find similar calculations and calculation devices on the web, but I haven't been able to find it in a spreadsheet where I can put multiple rings and put it in the format that I want, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can find it, I can't, but that's why I put it up here for you. It's convenient to me. I hope it's convenient to you. We'll put this back to 16. And then this is the paper that we will take into the shop to do the actual construction work. So we're going to quit there for in the office part. And we shall move over to the shop, and we'll pick up with doing the actual cutting and gluing and all of that kind of stuff. So I'll see you in the shop in a little bit.